and it may have been ugly. It may have been a rock fight. I jumped online after the game and took calls and had a ton of people on the line complaining about, and I'm talking about generally neutral fans, fans of other teams, talking about how ugly the game was. I thought it was a thing of beauty. No, it wasn't clean. But man, these kids are 18, 19 years old. They don't get to play preseason games like they do in the NFL. There are going to be mistakes made. There are kids out there that have barely been on the field with live bullets. And I thought it was a hard-fought game. It was, of course, exciting. There was a point there, Cam, with about 4 to 5 minutes left in the game, that I think there were something like 3 consecutive plays in which you thought, okay, Florida's controlled the game now. Nope. Miami's got control of the game. Nope. Florida's got control of the game. 24-20, Florida wins it. Your thoughts before we dive into the particulars?
Yeah, it was I agree with you. There were exciting moments. Obviously, there was performance that needs to improve on both sides of the ball for both teams. Both teams did hit some chunk plays, whether those being, passes of 15 or more yards or runs of 10 or more. Both teams had a good number. I think Florida had 8 and Miami had 12 explosive chunk kind of plays. Obviously, Florida's tackles for loss and sack numbers were a little inflated because of a couple issues, on Miami's offense. But I mean, they were still getting after it. I'm not going to sit here and try to, talk it away or anything. But yeah, I mean, both teams, I think they saw things that they will take away from this game as being positive. They'll also take away a bunch of things on both sides that need to get improved. Personally, I think, and having spoken to a lot of people after this game, just because of who I am and, running the website and whatnot, a lot of feedback is that people are higher on the future potential trajectory of Miami as opposed to Florida. Now, a big portion of that is Miami's paper tissue soft schedule this year also. But yeah, I think that we saw a lot of things that if you tighten up some of the details, you dot the I's and cross the T's, I think that Miami can still be in shape for a good season. Florida also, obviously they beat us and, they could go, but, they have a tougher road to hoe, as it were, than we do. So, we'll see what happens. But in general, yeah, I mean, it was the game that I thought we were going to see. I hated the fact that I was 100% right and I called the exact score of the game. And I wanted them. I did, absolutely. Yeah,
I was just about to brag on my 26-20 score.
Oh, no, sir. 24-20. Dylan Sherry from our website in the predictions also had that. And Barrett Salih of CBS Sports also had the exact score of the game. And it, I wanted to be wrong. I honestly did. I'm a Hurricane alum. I was cheering very hard for the orange and green. But, yeah, some of those issues that I thought were going to, keep us from winning actually did keep us from winning. So yeah, but I was 100%. I was dead accurate on that one.
So I don't remember the game times involved, but after the Kadarius Toney 66-yard touchdown, it was just a poor job of Miami, obviously corralling him. Al Blades in particular, I remember, had a good shot at him and a couple other guys. After that play, from that play up until probably 10 to 12 minutes left, when Florida made a few plays, the Felipe Franks throw down the seam to either Swain or Hammond that went for like 50-some yards for a touchdown. Between those two moments, I thought if you stripped away the score and I don't know what the yardage totals, if I just sat there and watched the game and I didn't have any numbers flying by me or anything to indicate what team was what and just said, who's the better football team, I thought Miami outplayed them. Not significantly, obviously. They couldn't run away with the game, but I thought they were the better team from like mid-first quarter to late third into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that bears itself out to be true. Miami scored 3 times in the first half as opposed to 1 for Florida. Now, 2 of those were field goals, obviously, so it was 13-7 at halftime. But, yeah, after, just a real bust in coverage there, and very poor tackling. It wasn't just Al Blades Jr. Amari Carter had 2 chances to tackle Toney on that play. Gervin Hall went for a kill shot, but missed, kind of slid off the side of his thigh and whatnot. So I mean, yeah, I think we missed 5 or 6 tackles with 4 dudes on that play. And everything. But after that, defense really did settle down. The tackle for loss numbers were not what I think we're going to see from this defense, just because, it was to try to contain Felipe Franks, was a scheme. You're coming in from the offense's right, the defense's left, to pressure him to run to his left as a right-handed quarterback, and then the right end on that side, Jonathan Garvin, who is as big and athletic as Felipe Franks, is sitting there in spy mode and just saying, cool, like, you're not going to get around me. You're not. So the fact of, and we spoke about this, Florida's offense really took off at the end of last year when Felipe Franks became a willing runner. So Miami did their damnedest to take that away. And yeah, for a large portion of the game, Miami did hold control in the fourth quarter. There were some lead changes, but down towards the end there, man, that fake field goal should have been first and goal on the 1. They called a terrible, terrible holding penalty on Will Mallory, who literally wasn't even using his hand. He's going like this across the guy. So that wasn't a holding. That wasn't a holding penalty. And Jeff Thomas in the end zone. That ball hit you in both hands. I need you to catch that ball. But that could have put Miami up 10 points, and that would have been a very, very, very different game.
Absolutely. So there's so much to dive in here because you're starting to hit on some of the officiating, which I questioned. I didn't think it was a horribly officiated game.
I did. It was terrible. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was terrible both ways. And the thing about it, it was pretty terrible. It was pretty terrible.
So I guess we might as well stay on that path. So I'm not going to get to Manny Diaz's responsibility in regards to all the pre-snap penalties. I wanted that to be part of the Manny Diaz analysis here, but let's stick with the officiating while we're there. Okay. So the 2 PIs against Miami, I thought were phantom calls. Those were bad.
Yeah, and but the thing, when Miami gets a stop, but you call that penalty all of a sudden, Al Blades up the sideline in perfect phase coverage, didn't even touch the guy. And then you want to call it, on that. And I'm not blaming the officials for the loss. Don't get that twisted. I have not said that. Nobody on our website has written that. I didn't tweet that. I have not said that in my personal life. All of that being said, I'm not going to sit here and say that officiating didn't have a major factor in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it just, but yeah, those PIs were just, I haven't seen pass interference calls that bad against Miami since 2015 at Duke.
The other play that comes to mind, and I'm not saying that this was misofficiated, I just don't know, is the Cam Harris 50-yard run down the left sideline. No. 2 calls made, and they didn't run any replays. So I'm waiting for the replays to see these holds on 2 wideouts, and they never came. I didn't see the replay.
No, I watched the replay. Jeff Thomas on the outside, that was phantom holding, because if that's holding there, then that was holding on Trajan Bandy or against Trajan Bandy on the Kadarius Toney touchdown. So you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? So if Florida did not hold, and you see the guy, he's extending Bandy's arm out. I'm trying to demonstrate on the screen. But yeah, if you had the wide receiver for Florida holding in that way, and you don't call it on the Toney touchdown, then what Jeff Thomas did on the Cam Harris run is not holding either. So, because it's the exact same thing. I will, however, say I did rewatch that play, the clip on Twitter a couple of times. Brevin Jordan absolutely tackled his dude at the line of scrimmage. And he didn't even need to, just because of the way, because they ran a little inside move, and he was expecting to be either head up or going outside. And when the guy crossed his face, he dove and tackled him. And it was on the line, but not at the point of attack, because it was going interior and we were running exterior with it. But that was the penalty that they accepted, and he absolutely tackled him. So I can say that one was actually true. Yeah.
The one call that comes to mind that it's not necessarily a call by the officials, but I thought it should have gone to the replay booth. I believe it was the second of the Florida turnovers, was the pitch behind the back. The running back, the pitch was a little bit behind him that Franks made. There was a fumble that was like a 10-yard loss. And I thought the running back, I think it must have been P. Ryan, got his hands back on the football, and he was on his knees. And I thought that should have been looked at, and Miami got the recovery. And I thought it was touch and go. It wasn't an obvious miscall, but that it should have been reviewed.
On that one, they did. Watching it from home, I could see the referee kind of was in his earpiece. And what they said on the broadcast was that there was nothing conclusive when they looked at it at replay. So they were like, we're not going to stop it because we already can see that there's nothing conclusive to go back and look at. So we're going to kind of let that ride.